allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. Actually, our agenda is second on this, so we'll be open time for the public. I would like to welcome Jacqueline Sears, our new member of the Select Board tonight. As her that be something that drawers are all mixed up. These aren't. Oh, there you go. There's one of my pens. Open time for the public. No. Hearing nothing, shall we? We could move along if you want to do the reorganization vote, or do you want to do minutes, or what would you like?
Reorganization.
Reorganization.
Okay, I make a motion for Jesse Dodds as chairman.
Is there a second?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Jess can take over and you can do liaisons.
Okay.
No, I'm going. I don't want that over your chair.
Thank you.
Bye, Mike.
Bye, Andy.
No, he's over there.
It's a smaller table.
Look, there, you want your name?
I know my name, but I'll take it.
Okay, we also need then a nomination for the vice chair.
Douglas, you've been in for so long, you want it?
I would do that, yes.
I'll nominate Douglas for vice chair.
Second that.
Okay, any further discussion to nominate second Douglas Blanchard to be the vice chair? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Abstain.
And last, we need then to reorganize with a clerk.
Can I nominate?
You can, you may.
I'd like to nominate Jackie to be our new clerk.
All right, Jackie Sears has been nominated to be clerk. Do we have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the birth certificate?
U.S. citizen.
Yeah. Okay, moving on then through the agenda, we have
You got to do liaisons committees.
liaisons, exactly. So,
I would move that we retain our same committees and that Jackie take over David's, which I don't remember what they are.
well, they're on page 2 here, the bottom of the second page.
Oh, there you go.
That was last year, last May. So Jackie, that would put you on Conservation Commission Liaison and Labrie Field Use Committee
Energy also.
and Energy.
That's 3 of them. No, is it 2? Yeah, 3. How often does the Labrie Field Use Committee meet?
Every
Yeah.
night.
We work meeting every 2 weeks, but we're in a holding mode with the architect commissions long, so could be within the next month. But on average, probably once every 2 months. We're at the table with it, we're ready to get that out.
So Jackie, you really don't have the experience or knowledge yet, because you haven't seen what the committee loads are. So we could try this for now and see how it works. If it does, if it's too much, if it's not. Okay, so the motion has been made then to keep the committees with the exception of where it says McDougal will be substituted with Sears on page 2 of this tonight's agenda.
Sounds good.
Is that a second or so?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, so that, we're actually about 10 minutes ahead of time here too, so we can approve some minutes in the meantime while we're waiting for department heads.
I don't believe that there are any, Jess.
Okay,
No minutes?
Jenica, you're here to be validated?
On the housing authority, I need to be... Yeah, you need to have the remaining members of the housing authority, and I believe they're coming. Is that right, Jonathan?
DJ can come and Lauren is coming, but the
Yeah.
other 2 members can't.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, no minutes.
Jess, I'll remind you about that thing for David Silverstone.
Thank you. One thing we do need to do here is, I'll summarize this because I know a little bit about it, I guess. It's from the Commonwealth, and it's an authorized signatory listing, which would authorize David Silvernail, who's currently Chief of Police, to sign certain contracts.
It's for a grant he's applied for.
In this case, correct.
Motion to approve?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
And I think I got to give that right to Reggie. She working?
Yes, she's in the water department. She's in the water, and next door, town clerk, I mean.
Oh, I got to give that to her. Jess?
Yep.
That doesn't go with the taxpayer share, does it?
No, this is the warrant. Okay, moving along, then we're actually ahead of schedule, so no other open time for the public? Voting, okay.
You could continue, it's at the bottom under your action list, but you could do your annual reappointments, Jess,
Yep.
as part of your liaison and reorganization. And the page, they're actually listed in here, right before the warrant in your packet, toward the end. Reappointments.
She needs to put that.
Packet. Is that, did you didn't?
Okay, so it's about 6 pages from the end, and it's called reappointments.
And the only thing I want to mention, Jess, is that under Recreational Needs Committee, both Douglas Blanchard and Brian Phillips have both resigned previously. They resigned in 2009, so those reappointments should not be made.
That's recreational needs, and the other one was,
They're both Recreational Needs, Doug Blanchard and Brian Phillips.
okay,
And Brian had sent a resignation letter on July 15th of 2009, and Doug, I know, had resigned, I think in 2009, right, from Recreational Needs? Was it 2009? Yeah.
okay, so with those 2 exceptions, then, is there a motion to reappoint as listed on this page? Does everybody have the page first?
So moved?
Let's let Jackie get to it.
It'll be there. I'm looking.
Got it.
Okay, so again, Recreational Needs Committee, which is most of the way towards the bottom there, Douglas Blanchard and Brian Phillips are not on that committee, so we would need to find 2 more people to do that. And Diana has a very active volunteer program.
We always need people, so now we have 2 openings on Recreational Needs.
So if anybody here is interested in Recreational Needs Committee, now is a chance to volunteer yourself.
Not everybody
Okay, in
at
any
once.
case, going once, going twice, to ask if there is a motion then to make the reappointments as listed with those 2 exceptions.
So moved?
Second.
Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Let's see, anything else we can do? We still have about 6 minutes.
How come there's no payroll warrant tonight?
You say we don't have any minutes?
It's an AP, and we have those. The payroll warrant is there because it didn't get signed last week. Only Ann signed it. Not sure why.
Who am I saying?
Ann signed it at the meeting. We had a meeting. I'm not sure what happened.
Everybody else has to sign it there.
Ah, okay. Something to do. Okay, more open time for the public. We need to stay according to the posted times, which is,
Or we could do the payroll warrant, the bill warrant.
yep, that's,
Jackie could.
let's do that. Jackie, you want to do your first bill warrant?
There's nothing at this time.
For the payroll warrant.
Payroll warrant. And the bill warrant is number W11-45, $1,628,773.35.
So moved? Move to approve?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, nothing in the personnel change forms, personnel request forms at this time.
We have the signature for this one.
Treasury, that's not here.
This
spend a lot of
Oh,
money.
yeah, okay. I was thinking of going to Hughes. Thank you.
Is that 11628?
628. I'll go over here to you.
Should,
4 minutes.
should she sign this one? She wasn't here last week?
No.
No, so
But
we have
it's-
enough.
It's signed, being signed. You only need 3 anyway on it. Okay, hi Barb. Hello. We're just a couple of minutes ahead of schedule, so we're,
Do you want me to speak with you? Introduce the assessor's article, which you are going to sign tonight to present at the annual town meeting. We got a correction that I believe is incorrect.
okay, so it's part of the warrant. We can work on that, well, it's outside of it. Give me a second here. Okay, why don't you read that out then, what the correction might be?
I'm not sure what article number you have assigned to that,
It's just after the list.
but it's the acts and resolves of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for the year 2000. Section 159, Chapter 159, Section 114. And the note came back to us that that does not exist, but I have it here in the acts and resolves, and it does exist.
Which article are you referring
No,
to?
those references were not correct in the actual Mass General Law, but I found the correct references. I inserted the correct references.
But it is here in the acts and...
That's in the acts and resolves, correct. But eventually it became general law, so I put in the Mass General Law references.
Okay, we weren't able to find that.
Okay, I have them in there, so if you want to see them, I printed out the copies of the law that matched. And I'll have that at town meeting as well, so.
And what we had gotten from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Yeah, I know, I think they had they had Chapter 159 and it was Chapter 59. It was Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 54 is the one for the exempting personal property tax, and Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 41C is the one for the,
Seniors.
is the one to adjust the eligibility factors for seniors, correct?
It said here, said Section 5 of Chapter 59, as so appearing, is hereby further amended by adding the following clause. 54. Personal property is less than an amount established by the city or town, but not in excess of $10,000 of value. This clause shall take effect upon its acceptance by the city or town, which shall establish a minimum value of personal property subject to taxation and may modify the minimum value by vote of its legislative body. So we put it in at 10,000, and I guess someone has changed it to 5,000.
The board voted that night to reduce it to 5,000. The night you presented it.
Right. We decided there would be more. There was a cutoff point between 10,000 and 5,000, so we decided that night to cut it off at 5,000.
That's fine, that's fine.
But also I would suggest here too, that's in the acts and resolves, right?
Right.
And typically there's enabling legislation, which may actually have come after that too.
Well, all I know is what we got from DOR.
Right.
We took the exact language that was presented to us
And
and
they
we put it
misquoted
in.
the chapter. Okay.
And we put it in, and we're told there is no chapter 159, but there is. I got the book.
But that depends on what your meaning of is, if I might paraphrase somebody, because if that's an act and resolve, that has not been enabled as legislation
But
necessarily.
it was voted as legislation, and
Okay.
so the Mass General Law, the actual legislative act, or the legislation, is what I referenced in the article.
So if
Through-
it goes
with
from
Mass
that
General
book to Mass General Law, once it has enabling legislation passed around it.
Okay.
Right.
Wasn't clear to me that
That's okay.
what the correction was, but
That's why.
I did go back to the source.
You acted with resolve.
I sure did. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I've been known to do that.
Would that we were all so resolute.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't that be
Take
great?
care.
Okay, so enabling that legislation, we're going to move then on now to 7:15, which is a joint meeting with the Housing Authority, entering the appointment of Jenica Reynolds, and there's an appointment slip in Town Clerk Office. And there's an initiation and those kinds of things as well, but BJ, would you care to say anything about what you're up to?
So this is a reappointment, since they were us for how long now? To create a district to our committee. And we have a good team, I think. I highly recommend him from our committees we have, Chief Walker.
Make a motion to appoint.
How many people are on that committee?
5.
Do we need a quorum for them?
But it doesn't, you don't have to have a quorum, you just have to have the remaining members. It doesn't say that there has to be a quorum of that board. It just says the selectmen with the remaining members of the committee. So if you have the 3, or the 2 people here can vote, should vote in concert with you all make one group.
But how can they have a meeting without a quorum?
They don't have a meeting, they're just here to vote with you. I mean, I can, if you want, I can get the statute, but
No, it's
I just looked it up before the meeting just to make
Okay.
sure.
All right. Just wanted to make sure we did it properly.
Okay, under the presumption that we're proceeding properly, lacking a quorum or a called meeting of the Housing Authority, then we have a motion and a second to reappoint Jenica Reynolds to the position of Housing Authority member. Any further discussion? And we're going to vote in concert then? And
Yes,
those
so
in-
VJ and you vote as well, yes.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Okay.
Board of Health.
You're missing the department head meeting.
Yeah, those are scheduled for the same time, so we're going to go back to that with department heads. Any department heads here who would like to talk, Ed?
I didn't know if you had anything for us.
Do we have anything for you? We have, how might we reduce our expenses in this coming fiscal year in highways and other elements?
Where it doesn't snow.
Okay. Light candles?
That would help. I don't know where it stands. Right now, we're working in front of the town hall here, putting in sidewalks. Counting some hidden objects, like instead of old fire station, front steps, which we removed, they were in the front lawn in front of the gazebo. We're prepping that for pavement. I met with the architect today, planting to the pond. Even though it wasn't a very rigorous scheme, we do feel that planting needs to be done. So at May 2nd, the reuse committee will deal with that plan. Okay. We're cleaning up after the winter, still repairing trucks and vehicles. Getting ready for a busy summer. Paving, we'll be paving several streets now on Ponds, second half of Middle Avenue, Middle Road, excuse me. We've got several cross sections of doing Middle Road, we'll be taking care of that. Dirt roads, we repaired. On winter activities, once already, we're going back for a second to get into shape. We had a lot of issues with deep frost, a lot of water, a lot of mud. That's pretty much under control now. I'm going back and tidying that up. I don't know if I said, it was about half the town was completely swept and clean. More than the second half of town. In case anybody's concerned, we changed the configuration so now we do the same streets last. Actually, because Jack was elected, we did our streets today, because the streets were always done last. So now we're second last.
You're moving on up, Jackie.
But it's going to be trying here how much we can do with what we have. Okay. The state has given us some additional money this year in Chapter 90. I'm afraid a lot of it's going to be eaten up with escalation clauses for fuel or asphalt products. So I'm hoping to do at least what we did last year with that being done. Transfer stations are going good. Our revenues are pretty much the same. What we projected. We're anticipating raises for next year. We're only anticipating raises in the water this coming year even. We've been successful with new growth and new activities and new customers coming in on a consistent base. And that has been able to help offset any additional costs. So with that being said, we're not raising the increase.
How many new customers have we added to the water system?
This past year covered about close to 50, counting about that.
And how many total customers do we have?
Close to 1,400.
And what can the system handle?
Mike, can you speak up a little bit? It's
It's
hard to hear.
hard to hear with the seats this way for some reason.
Well, like I said, I rearranged it. Huh?
The system has
better
been
than
handled with the exception of a high demand period in the summer. Summer is a trying period we don't know when we get into.
Is that a question of storage in the summer or production?
Just production and trying to keep up. We have been able to take care of the system for the most part. We are going, but we do have, backup systems with the Tracy tunnels, and that we've used that in the past, and they've used ours.
But at some point in time, are we going to have to think about?
We do have plans to build a new storage plant on East Street, Shipping Park, as a potential site. We also talked about increasing the capacity to the current that we have now, to 750,000 gallons, which on an average day that's more than adequate. But when we have high demands and every watering,
Just planning. I was just thinking for the future.
we're not maxed out, but we will be looking to do that. There's one project that we do want to complete, the loop that we need to complete. We've been chasing money for several years. At even Pequot Road, right northwest of Lang, I'd like to bring that up. The middle road, tie in the valley and Strong, and that would give us a loop, so it's continuous in different directions. Right now, that section of Pequot is a dead end. It's supplying fine, but it's not that in a situation. So we're looking, we tried unsuccessfully looking for grants for $1.5 million. But we're getting close to having to do something in the next few years. Currently, that section of the college is where most of our customers are.
I was talking to the building inspector today, and we've got 28 new building permits in town for this summer.
Yeah, but some of those are anticipated.
No.
Like Bobcat Hollow, I think, at least out the building permits going out there right now. We anticipate those.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a suggestion up here to try closing the windows, see if we can hear better. Maybe warmer, but easier.
Not like that.
Okay, we do not have a PA system in here, right? Hooked up to these microphones?
No,
Or is this
there's no
just-
amplification.
What's it gonna take to do something like that?
Amplification?
Yeah.
I don't know, we
You know, I've
can,
been
we can
asking
look
for it
into
for
it.
years, now I have hearing aids. But, what's it gonna take to do that? I mean, people can't hear us, we can't hear ourselves, and we're just walking around in circles.
Yeah, the question, I'll look into it. I don't know how that would work with the sound for the television, but I'll look into it.
There's a possibility we could talk to some sound acoustic people who put up like wooden panels. You ever seen those in theaters?
I actually had gotten a quote, as part of the project, they had talked about putting up acoustic panels. So I have a quote for that, and we were waiting sort of see where our furnishings account was going to be. But we probably could purchase a couple. They were only, I think, about $200 a piece.
See, if
So-
somebody speaks softly, nobody is gonna get the gist of what they're trying to convey to everyone, so a PA system or whatever would, I think, do the trick, not acoustical panels, because if someone's
Right.
soft-spoken, nobody's
That's
gonna get it.
absorbing it, right?
Relative cost, okay, we'll certainly look into it.
Just,
Sir.
the other thing I want to talk about is I brought up the question last week, the fuel system. We have DEP is not inspecting the systems for the fire marshal's service. So DEP has done an inventory of all the systems throughout the state, and then they come back with new regulations. And I just want to update the board that we're going to, and we touched about this probably about 6 months ago, that was potential. Well, we do have to bring that up to current standards in order to use it. Okay? Things that have been done is 100% capture of all that emitted fuels, both at the pump and also at the other standpipes that at each tank. There's got to be a system. We also have to replace both. Those are big ticket items. They haven't given us a couple, but they are not of the, they're not of the current accepted pumps. We need to be in dry atmosphere at all times. Right now, we're in a wet atmosphere. That has to change. And the pipe leads from the fuel tanks to the dispensing system have to be double walled tanks with interstitial devices. I mean, not tanks, pipes with interstitial devices in between to monitor circuit leaks. We have all that in the tanks. We have that in the recovery system. But we're in there looking at $18,000 plus about $18,000 plus about $5,000 to $6,000 per engineering design and fitting documents.
Okay.
Like I said, not going to happen today, but it's something that is going to be on our radar, probably when free cash comes along. If there's any free cash.
There are folks lining up for it, but sure, okay,
Well,
well,
I'm not lining up for it.
Yeah.
We get to a point where we get to consent order, we're going to be shutting down, buying fuel to pumps.
right. Which would cost even more. Okay, I appreciate your report, thank you. Other department heads, library? Do you know everyone here, by the way? Does everyone know you? Jeffrey Abushan was recently appointed as the Southampton Edwards Public Library Director. Welcome.
It's only been 2 weeks, so not much to say. I'll reiterate the gratitude on behalf of the library to the Finance Committee for meeting us halfway in terms of their proposed budget, and we'll see what happens with that at town meeting. It does raise, and so we're very grateful for that. Given the formula used by the State Board of Library Commissioners, total amount that the town appropriates for the library, we have to come up with a dollar amount, 19% of that. So we'll round down and say that next year's appropriation for the library is $100,000. We have to spend 19% of that, $19,000 on library books and materials. Now, our expense account is, $19,000 to cover books. So we do that. We're able to take from donations, our gift account. We're able to take from the library trust funds to supplement the shortcoming there. So, where we have an increase in the budget for next year for $6,000, assuming that it's approved at town meeting, we have to come up with additional funds than we had projected to pay for books and materials so that we can stay certified.
So, excuse me, salaries are included, wages are
It
included?
is, so the total amount that the town pays on the library, 19% of that has to be spent on books, library materials, books, DVDs, CDs, anything that our patrons use. However, because the Board of Commissioners knows that very few libraries are in a position where 20% of their, the budget can be spent on books, we're able to draw from other sources, making the May 21st book sale all the more important to the town, because that's exactly where those funds go. The Friends of the Library take their profits from the book sale, we buy new books, that helps to meet our 19% goal. So just reiterating our thanks. This has been something on our radar in the past week since the budget hearing last week. The library community needs to step it up to make up for that shortfall in the percentage.
About $1,200 roughly. Okay.
Exactly. It's a manageable amount. We're not asking the town for more. The town community can help us by being active at the book sale. We'll need to do other fundraising throughout the year. That's part of what we do. We're not worried about that. The only other thing that's on our immediate radar in the library trustees will meet on May 10th. One of the issues to be discussed there will be proposed changes. Our hours will change to our normal summer schedule, but we will be reviewing the operating hours, not the quantity of hours, but the distribution of those hours at the May 10th trustees meeting, because traditionally the new hours go into effect Memorial Day weekend. We start closing on Saturdays and changing our hours. My proposal to the Board of Trustees will be to increase our operating hours by 1 for the summer, and then we'll regain an additional 3 hours in the fall. And another goal of mine is to align the library's hours more closely with those of Town Hall, so that there is an alignment there between what the Town Hall is doing, what the library is doing. We'll be open later into the evenings to continue to help our patrons who enjoy evening hours, but right now the library is closed on Mondays, whereas Town Hall is open on Mondays. My recommendation to the Board of Trustees is that we follow the same pattern, be open Monday through Thursday, closed on Friday. We additionally, during the fall, winter, and spring, we're open on Saturday as well, but that's an effort to align what we do to the broader pattern of the town community. So details on that will be forthcoming after the trustees meet on the 10th. If anyone has any suggestions or comments on that, I would be more than happy to hear them and bring them to the trustees.
Yeah, well, I do have an idea I wanted to put forth about the book sale coming up on the 21st. Mr. Moderator, can that be announced at town meeting within the context and framework of parliamentary procedure?
Yes.
So there's a place where some people go. We would expect 125 citizens to be there on the 17th. So there'll be at least one place to reach out.
Great.
And you can also bring materials if you have like a flyer. You could bring that as well.
That's good. I mean, it's part of the broader, what is it, Spring to Southampton? That day, May 21st. So there are other events going on, but you know, it's a
Mothers Club, Women's Club, and Church.
Diana, was there a need to discuss the?
You can do that now. It's on. It's on the warrant. So
We had discussed at the last meeting, and forgive me, I haven't learned all the terminology, but money had been set aside in the capital improvements fund, and some of those funds had been, 8,000 was set aside for FY11 for new library shelving. 5,000 had initially been earmarked for FY12 for ADA accessible doors for the library, but per the discussion at the Finance Committee hearing last Tuesday, as with many other departments in town, the money set aside for FY12 was not going to be available and was recommended for FY13. I requested that the $8,000 that had been set aside for shelving in FY11 be re-examined to be used now for the doors. I consider the doors to be a greater priority than the shelving. I have a quote for that. Diana has drawn up a warrant article for town meeting, which to my understanding would involve the library giving back the $8,000 that was earmarked for shelving and then requesting again a sum to fix the doors. The quote has been finalized, and the quote has come to just under or at $7,000. So we'll be returning $8,000 and requesting $7,000 to have the library doors made compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act.
and that is under Article 7, the rescinding of the last year and the voting. And now it just right now says a sum of money or a sum of dollar symbol, and that will actually say a sum of $7,000.
That's a big win. You know, as far as I'm concerned, as I had stressed last week, the most important thing I can do as your director is to make sure that the doors of the library are physically and intellectually open to everyone who wants to walk through it. And there has actually been brought to my attention an incident in years past where someone physically couldn't enter the door, which is what prompted this discussion about making them swing open mechanically. So that's a savings to the town for $1,000, which had been set aside, which we're happy to give back if we can use this money for the doors. Any questions on any of that?
Am I correct in thinking that this is required anyway under ADA as a public building?
It is. Why it wasn't done when the library was, my understanding was that ADA was on the books in 1996, so I don't know exactly why it wasn't put on there but regardless, we're going to do it, and we have the money to do it, and it will, the automatic doors will swing both to the doors to the driveway, and also, as many of you know, there's an entryway and then into the library itself, so we're having, for $7,000, 2 doors outfitted and 1 panic bar replaced, which had been damaged. Sure.
Part of my thinking there, Jeffrey, it was simply that obviously you're asking the town to take back some money and then almost simultaneously, but there's that brief interval in between where sometimes things get tied up. So you'll be there to defend the article?
I will be. I'm more than happy.
Someone will be there? Just, okay, we can...
I'll be there, for sure.
Be there, and I think the library trustees will be there as well. I'm sure some of the trustees will be there.
I know the chairwoman of the board of trustees will be there.
All right, good.
And it just so you know, it does require a 2/3 vote because it came out of stabilization and it would be going back and coming out again, so.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
In the event that the town is to vote to reclaim that $8,000 but not give us the $7,000, would we have any, because it takes a 2/3 vote?
Well, somebody would have, the way I did the motion, I did it all as one motion, so if the whole thing were to fail, you would be left with the 8,000. Somebody could make an amendment to change that, but as it is now, it's one entire article to rescind and to revote.
I should say we were being proactive in the drafting, both in terms of soliciting the bid and drafting of the warrant language. As I've spoken with Diana, this will be pending a formal vote of the library board of trustees on May 10th, assuming that they go along with it, which I have no doubt that they will, but formally, that won't go forward to the 11th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other department heads here?
Hello, Board of Health.
Right, we're coming up with for you, and right next, actually, but any other department heads in the meantime?
In regards to the scholarships, are we going to be in line to do that for the
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the moderators?
Yes, yeah, that's how we did it last year. I'll confirm with Robert, but
Okay.
we did it that way last year, and he was comfortable with that.
We do. 15 minutes earlier to accommodate the scholarship recipients.
Yeah.
And that's a wonderful thing that you do, too. So. Okay, any further department heads before we go to Board of Health? Okay, Board of Health.
Well, I'm not going to update anything specific around activities of the Board of Health. The reason I'm here really is because I got an email, as I think a lot of other people did, about the new mutual aid law that was passed last July. And so I responded to Diana basically saying this is not just a Board of Health issue. It really, does this town, fire, police, want to be part of a mutual aid sort of agreement? So it's, like I said, I'm here because I just sort of raised the question back, and then it was put on the agenda for today. So I don't have necessarily sole ownership of this. I'm just asking if it's something that the town wants to monitor.
So for the board, that was sent out as an email. It's rather extensive. The scan that I got is 15 pages, something like that. But they reference, for example, the town of Danvers that had a natural disaster some time ago, and there's a lot of confusion over who was supposed to do what, who was going to do what. And the idea, as I understand it here at least, is to make these intermunicipal and town cooperative efforts easier. Because people are concerned about liabilities if they go into another town and all of the things that can occur. So that's the takeaway I had from it. Do you have anything different than that?
No, and I think that you're right. It falls on any particular town when there's a lot of question over whose jurisdiction is it in this. And I think for police and fire, I just didn't know if there was anything formalized with any of the neighboring communities, or if it's all informal agreements when things happen.
My understanding is we do have a formal agreement with Easthampton on fire. Go ahead.
Our police department has mutual aid agreements that have signed with, I think, surrounding towns. And there's certain other responsibilities, I don't know if it's David or Chief Hyde, but both of them have existing mutual aid agreements that they execute with the board's authority. This new policy is to enhance that even further, to go farther, and you need to sign into these things. The public works one is been pulled because it needs more work. And if you get more involved, you can talk about moving heavy equipment around the state to augment emergencies that they might need 2 loaders, we have one available, they might need to have it, they need a bulldozer, we need a grader, you know, it goes both ways. And but with that, you touched on it, there's a major concern is liability. Why can we get hurt there? I another city, municipality, is your catch-22. So the law is trying to take as much as this into an agreement, so people that are sent to mutual aid are covered for liability purposes, for compensation purposes, and for equipment. Okay, and on the DPW side of it is an issue that is probably a little more complicated than police and fire, because you're talking long term. When I say long term, several days, okay, or even longer, like an ice storm. Take for instance, and the hilltops get hit bad. We didn't get hit. We might have available to go out and augment repairs and work with them. We might be to 2 to 6 or 7 days. But in the meantime, we would use our own funds to pay for our people up there, with the understanding that our liability we're in town or doing town business. But when we do mutual aid, we're not doing town business, we're working for the town. So these agreements for police and fire have been expanded a little more to give more protection and some recourse as far as reimbursement and stuff like that. But I think these departments should be able to talk to you more about how it will progress more against. On the emergency management side, which is another half day where they might call a personnel that has the requirements of certain levels of training, like mine is 400, Steve Hyde's 3, Chief Sullivan is 4. They might need us at those levels as well, and augment staff to give them a break on a major event. These are things that would be common.
So that's for both FEMA and MEMA, the interaction at that level as well.
FEMA doesn't get involved, it's just a presidential disaster. MEMA is a state disaster.
Right.
Usually they work hand in hand.
So do you think MEMA is coordinating well with the mutual aid folks then?
We actually one of the key sponsors.
Okay.
Like the public works one, it's Mass Highway. Highway superintendents is one of the leading groups, and MEMA and other highway associations should get involved to do this, because the towns, certain towns don't have all the equipment of disaster pits, but possibly with neighbors and other towns that might not have been affected, they might have equipment that could move and help render the situation a speedier recovery.
Sure.
So does this new law automatically cover police and fire mutual aid, or does it
I
have
still
to?
think they have to come here, we have to sign it and agree to it. It's, I think they can speak for themselves, I think some bigger scale than we already have. And they've been approved, where DPW and Public Works has not been approved.
How does, oh, sorry.
They need to be on our agenda at some point.
How does Board of Health feel about this?
Like I said, I think that it's really around public safety, it's around fire, it's around police, it's around DPW, prisons. You know, I think that when there are issues from the board of health standpoint, I think that we pretty much have a network of support through the state that we can access. So when we have an unusual situation, I think that there's nothing that's formalized other than discussing a different level of regionalization of the board of health offices. I think it's a So that's why I was saying that when I got this, it wasn't really strictly a Board of Health issue, it was really around public safety, fire, police, and DPW.
But the point is, I think what they're trying to do, even the Department of Public Health, wants to have this stuff
Yeah.
established, so
Right.
people can cut through the red tape and respond as quick as possible,
Right.
versus relying on old neighborhood agreements. I think that's what we're trying to do. Get it standardized, everything's approved. Some of the verbiage that size, you have to opt in, but if you decide it's not working for you, you can opt out within 180 days.
Okay. So what would the board like to do? We obviously need to hear feedback from fire and police, but what's the board's
Put them on the
desire?
agenda.
I think it's an ongoing thing. It should be brought up to stop by both the chiefs. And this thing is an ongoing thing. It's not cast in stone yet. And when the public works or the, the infrastructure, mutual aid agreement is finalized, they'll be even talking about that. But then there are pamphlets, I believe, Diane can receive some of this stuff named it out anyway. But I think this is very good things on it, I think we've given mutual aid a lot, and we stretched the neck out in some cases, like, assisting towns with road, following that, so this will help protect us.
When I read it, it seems that you have the potential for going farther afield.
You could be sent anywhere in town.
Right, but at least it gives you the same rights as if you were in that town working, and they have to
That's correct.
and they have to hold you harmless for anything you do.
There is even language in there for going over to border and towns and various things.
Yeah, as long as they're contiguous to Massachusetts.
Okay. Okay, do we need to respond in any way then to that?
I
Group?
agree. I think we need to hear.
Right, but at least preliminary interest as a town?
Yeah, I think I basically, Maureen, the Department of Public Health is interested in making sure Board of Healths are looking at this as an opportunity to, as Maureen said, to assist. So I just wanted to get it in front of the board. Did you want to schedule a meeting with specifically about the public safety? Like Ed said, the DPW one isn't ready yet. They're still making changes at the higher level.
For the sake of efficiency, if we waited till the DPW one was out.
Well, to finish the package, yes, but I believe the Department of Public Health is completed.
Yeah, the department, there's one for Department of there's a public safety one and a fire, yeah.
And the only difference with fire and police, we've had ongoing mutual aid agreements in the past. And like I said, they need to explain that more to you, but I think for the most part, from Board of Accounts and special needs, this would be your cost, would let us go anywhere in the country.
Right. And the big thing, like Ed mentioned earlier, one of the situations I think that's come up, and it mentioned about Danvers, but is that when MEMA will come in sometimes and reimburse a community, if you don't have a formal agreement and you go in and assist, you can keep track of your expenses, and if they get reimbursed, you can get a portion of that reimbursement. So a town that goes in to assist, instead of just doing it, using your own resources, you would have a chance to get reimbursed if it was more of a higher level emergency.
The other key thing too is the equipment and short term is important, but when there's a lot of catastrophes, they go 24/7, and sometimes the host community is exhausted after the first 14, 15 hours. They've spent a lot of time and money through FEMA, educating response time and changing band and ICS, and a lot of us are trained at various levels. So they're looking for cool people also. It's not just equipment and personnel per day, but there's a major catastrophe and they need trained personnel on various levels of incident command. That's a big pool of people too.
Sure. Okay, so what would we like to do about this then? Just hold off until DPW, bring fire and police in to talk about it with them?
Well, are they going to be separate? Are they going to be separate agreements or are they going to be a joint? So we can do them one at a time, or
And on the back of this, it says opt-in, and it says public safety mutual aid agreement, and it says statewide fire mutual aid agreement.
I see.
And DPW would be probably not, it's not going to be anytime soon.
The budget's done in the House and Senate.
I mean, it seems like we may want, there's some extra protections if people from our town go somewhere else, and we may want to afford ourselves those protections, but I think we need the chiefs in here to decide whether or not, what's good and bad for it.
Okay.
I'd request a meeting with the chiefs.
Do they have this thing?
Yes.
It's only augmented by the board of health should be there.
Yeah, Board of Health, Fire, yeah.
Well, we can all,
Okay, so can we put that on a future agenda?
Yes, I
Okay,
will.
thank you very much, Anne Marie, thank you. Okay, moving on then, we're a couple minutes over a joint meeting with the local school committee under the preschool van and intercom system. For those of you who may not know Jackie Sears, to everybody, this is her first night as a select person. And
Reorganized tonight too, and reorganized.
and we've reorganized, and we've also
We've repositioned even.
Well, that's why I was used to the same word twice. Looks like the Today Show now.
Shuffle the chairs on the Titanic.
the Today Show.
You know, like if you have a crowd of people behind you with signs. Like
All right.
we can arrange that for next week.
Hey, John, we're trying to keep pace with the Times. Not the New York Times, but the ambient Times. Okay. So we understand that you have two rather dire needs, one of which is a van, one of which is an intercom system. And
First of all, the intercom. The intercom, thanks to Dale Meyer and his Band-Aids, we think we have it going for another time. They have done some soldering so that it is bypassing the controller piece, the amplifier controller piece, but it is only good for short messages. Like Bill Collins said, the length of the Pledge of Allegiance, and then it cuts out.
that's more than Twitter.
And then the company they're working with did find a part on eBay.
Oh.
And so they're going to order it and they're going to put that in. And I guess there are other parts available. So that temporarily, this intercom appears that it will be working. But I think it's what we want to say is that it's something that in the future, like next year, we ought to be looking at replacing, and they replace the head end at the office and equipment in the rooms. Bill got one quote for like $27,000, but then he talked to someone else who said, we can do it for less. You know, it depends on how many bells and whistles you want on the intercom. They basically need it to communicate.
If I may interject, if I may, in regard to the intercom, Diana sent a memo to all of us, the select board, and I read it, and I've got a lot of experience in those, and we use a company out of West Springfield called Eastern Electronics, and I called Mr. Collins with that information today, and I urged him to call them because they deal with a lot of the dinosaur intercoms and intercom systems, and they know a lot of things that people that are just coming into the trade or have been in for 15 years have never witnessed. And so I urged him to call these people, and they're excellent.
Right, that's what I said, we needed a part, but we needed an old tech, someone who would.
Right.
Then working on it.
Yeah, we do the work for the Belchertown school system, and they had a major problem, and we sent these people in for their problem. It was a couple of $1,000s. I mean, nothing, and done. We're all set, so that's good.
Great.
So let's hope that does work.
When Cindy said that this is something we want to alert you could come up next year, when we say next year, we are still talking about fiscal 12. We don't mean fiscal 13. So
Calendar 12.
fiscal year 12. So it could happen
Right.
this year that we're planning for now. There's a chance that we may come to you with an emergency, a semi-emergency request.
Well, we thought we were coming to you with an emergency tonight, and it seems that we found a way to get past that, and it looks like, let's get to the other side of the repair, and then we'll know, right? We'll let whoever repairs it tell us that you need to fix this and
So good.
whatever.
Okay, thank you, Doug, for that.
Very good. Yes.
Connection too. Okay.
Okay, the van. The van currently being used is owned by Hampton Regional School District. It was part of 3 that were purchased under a community partnership grant back in 1995. The vans have been circulating amongst the 4 districts in the last few years, your town has needed the most, so it's come to Southampton to rest. However, when they went to do the last tune-up and getting it ready for inspection, they said there was no way it was going to pass inspection. That it is, for all intents and purposes, dead. So, our problem is we need to transport preschool students. If we have preschool students who are sped students and do not have other available transportation, we are responsible for transporting them, just like we are kids. The other wrinkle of this is we have some kids who cannot ride the big yellow bus for whatever reason, and we've been transporting those kids on the van too. Now, we're getting through the rest of this year by contracting with the bus company, $200 a day. But we have the money between not paying the driver and maintenance for the rest of the year. We can cover this year. Next year, if we had to do it, it would be $36,000. And basically, we have about $13,000 in the budget between maintenance lines and the driver's salary. And actually, a good part of that comes from Hampshire Regional. Again, this community partnership grant will kick in some for transportation, but it's only about $9,000. So it would seem the most cost-effective would be for us to buy a new van. The grant that pays for these vans no longer will cover this. They will cover some driving time, they will cover maintenance, but they will not cover the purchase of a van. Hampshire can't do it. We just can't own the van. So the van actually would be purchased by Southampton to be used in Southampton. And so this is, part of this is procedural. We're now it's registered and insured by Hampshire. It'll now be registered and insured under the town of Southampton School Department.
Could that van be conceivably leased, rented out, dispatched to other towns in exchange for currency or money payments?
No, because of the scheduling. The preschool kids, it's 2 sessions. So preschool kids get picked up in the morning, in the afternoon, or at the end of the morning they get dropped off. The next batch of kids gets picked up, and then they get dropped off at the end of the day. So it's difficult during a weekday to use it for anything other than the purpose it's used for. This is the same van we used to transport the Westfield kids to Westfield Oaks, so we didn't have to get another contract for another bus.
That's why we ended up with a van, right? So Hampshire sort of donated one to a friend because we didn't have to do a purchase, but you remember we were trying to get rid of the bus going to Westfield for a pretty considerable savings. Right. So the kids that graduated out of, I think there might be one senior that's driving themselves to Westfield now. But the van has become a part of the school community now. So it's being used for preschool, it gets used for school events and those kinds of things now, so.
Yeah, occasionally, I guess Bill Collins does use it, schedules in, so if there's some kind of field trip during the day that they can schedule around preschool, pick up some drop-offs, where they just have a few kids. I checked, I know Plymouth County has a bid that they do emergency vehicles on, and when I was looking for a wheelchair van last year, I talked to them. The other thing is, Lower Pioneer Valley Education Collaborative and the former Hampshire Educational Collaborative have sorted out who's going to do which bids so they don't conflict with each other. Lower Pioneer Valley runs their own buses and they run vans, so they're putting together a bus bid at the moment, and we could actually get in on that bid and not have to bid it separately ourselves. They would spec it out, they would take care of all of that, so we could meet the 30B requirements.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Cindy, how big a van is it?
It's got to be over a certain number of passengers. I think it's like over 10 passengers.
And are there children's seats mounted in it?
They, we have to use car seats.
As I'm
And they
thinking,
have, you know, seatbelts so the kids are belted.
but they're mounted into the van itself?
No. No.
Because I'm thinking, if the town owns the van, and we have like the senior center or something else, that we could mutually spread this around to, and not that you need during the weekday, but a weekend or something, or summers. You don't use the van in the summers, do you?
Some of the kids do have summer services,
Yeah.
so but it wouldn't be that double session. It would just be an abbreviated day,
Oh,
more
morning
flexible. I think.
session.
I mean, they don't have a van now in the senior center, but I'm thinking they would probably appreciate access to one if the town, as opposed to the school department owned it, or something like that.
The same thought, then also the Pioneer Valley Transportation Authority, can we commingle with them even too?
You mean, well, right now we have an elder van that's from FRTA.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't know how we, I don't know if we
How do we
own
get
it.
that?
I'll have to find out, I'm not sure.
You're with Franklin Regional,
Yeah.
right? Versus-
FRTA, right,
Yeah, versus Pioneer Valley.
Right.
Yeah, they kind of have that little sliver.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
And I don't know if we own that van. I think what we need to find out is if we own it or how, if it's restricted in any way. Because I mean, I think we have access to it all the time. It sits out here,
Yeah,
but
it
it's
sits
not
out
being
here
used.
Right, that's what I was thinking, there's a van that sits
they
there.
use it for doctor's appointments, which would
Yes, it's a
preclude-
transport service for the elders,
Which
basically.
precludes them from using it during the day because it's shuttling back and forth on certain days. But do we have access to another one? Is it restrictive? What's our choices on it?
There are certain conversions that are going to have to happen. It's not just, you know, stock van.
No.
Right.
There's certain conversion features that have to be there
For school buses.
to be a school bus.
Right,
Specifically lights and signs.
right.
But, I mean, we must have those. And that van, I think that van has school bus equipment. It doesn't say school bus. I think it's got lights on it, I'm not sure, but,
So we could retrofit that van possibly.
well, we don't own that van though. That van out there, we don't own, they own it. They supply it to us under,
Right, they supply it, and they actually pay a portion of the cost for us to use it through a grant, I think.
Josh, do you have meals? I mean, from being working at PPA, a lot of the elder vans were used for doctor appointments.
Yes.
And they were really busy during the middle part of the day because of meals times where the senior centers or the senior center had activities. So that wasn't used in the beginning or the end of the day, but it was used
Right.
like from 10 to 3 type.
That could have been, I mean, primarily it's being used right now to transport to appointments, like you said, not activities as much.
I mean, that's just a thought. But the next question is, how much money is available in your budget now for the van?
I'd like 13,000.
Well, actually, the van, I think that when I talked to Lower Pioneer Valley, the last vans they got were back in 2009. They got them for 22.6. As I said, I looked at this wheelchair van and it was like 36 with the lift. I'm thinking this is going to cost us someplace between 25 and 30,000.
But how much is in your budget now? You had van numbers 13,000 and for maintenance. I mean, obviously, if we get a new van, you're not going to be hopefully maintaining
You
it.
need to be a driver though, so.
Right, you still need to drive.
The biggest part of our budget is the 9,000 for the driver. You know, then we had 3,000 or 4,000 for gas, for fuel, and
Well, that ain't gonna-
maintenance and whatever.
Do we have any school of choice money?
The questions today really, go
I
ahead.
was going to say, on school of choice, I don't believe you can buy a van with school of choice money, because school of choice money, pretty much the Department of Education says it has to be used for 2,000 accounts, which are educational purposes, because that's why you're taking
And
it.
this wouldn't be a part of the educational purpose?
Because I tried, actually, I paid for the year that our transportation contract went way up. I actually paid for it with school choice money, the
Sure.
difference, and I got my hands off. I got told that I couldn't use it for transportation and I couldn't use it for maintenance.
Okay.
It had to be used for construction.
Very good. Thank you very much.
John, you had a point?
Yeah, from a board member standpoint, we haven't voted on anything, but from a board member standpoint, my questions are more about, can the school buy a van, can the school own a van, owned by the town, I know, we sign contracts as a school committee? It's those kinds of questions. I think we need to find a way to do this out of operations, to be honest with you.
To do what?
To fund it out of operations, whether it's through financing or we find a way to do it.
Through your financial
Yeah,
option.
that's.
The question you have for us is, can you own a van?
Yeah, right. So we had one given to us, right?
Our problem, John, frankly, is, whether you know it or not, we balanced the budget last week.
Oh, no, I know that. I was here for that. So some might come with a tin cup, I'm not.
Oh, okay, so our question is, whether, go buy a van.
I think the town, it would be technically registered to the town, insured by the town. I mean, you don't have a separate, right, it would be under insurance, so
Your registration.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I guess procedurally, as far as buying and bidding it out or whatever,
So that's what you're looking for us to do, is buy a van
So we
out of your operating money.
Yeah, we didn't come here asking for money, we came here asking how.
We like you a lot.
But yeah.
We like you a lot better now.
While you're here,
Yeah.
okay,
You should buy two.
we were down to $75 of balance in the budget, and we would have had to take money out of this budget to fund that, so.
No, we see this as being something that's financeable.
Right, it's a capital
Spread it out
expense.
over years.
Right.
And make, some level of a deposit and.
Can we finance?
I hope it's school choice myself.
Can't finance, can we?
Well, that would be a different question, if we financed it and how it would be paid and.
You'd have to bond it.
Right.
money
well,
would
we
come.
can, actually.
You can finance.
We can finance it over 3 years.
Oh.
I guess they have financing company, or, sometimes they include it in their financing for their buses, and then we would pay them reimbursement for their.
Oh.
Yeah,
So
so I think we could do
technically,
that.
the van would
We could enter into a lease agreement
be, yeah,
for,
for the use of the school.
yeah,
Well, yeah, but if it's the town van, we can use it for
yeah,
anything.
it would be.
At any point in time, we can lease it to them for what they need, but we can use it, if it's our van, we can use it for any reasons that don't conflict with theirs, obviously.
Yeah, and that's new to the conversation. I think that's an interesting thing to figure out.
Okay.
But we need to have a van in place by September 1st.
You only have 55 days at 200 a day, way I figured it, with your 13,000. So 55 days goes fast.
Yeah, it really is not cost effective for us to contract this out
Yeah.
So-
Fortunately, it's meant.
for next year.
So what we need to do is find out, one, can we buy a van, and two, can we lease it to you, and what strings may be attached going in either direction?
And then,
And how money has to flow.
You're gonna
That's I don't know the plumbing. We
Yeah.
gotta figure it out, but we have to understand the plumbing.
How do we just-
And we need to understand it.
So we'll do that.
So,
Okay, we'll do that by next
Well-
week. We'll try.
she's a procurement officer, so,
She's the chief procurement officer, so we'll, okay.
hey, you want someplace near Watertown?
So, how does the board want to proceed with respect to this? To be authorized Diana as chief procurement officer to look into this situation?
I would make that motion.
Second it.
Okay, any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Thanks. I'm scared.
I am. Yeah, meeting on Monday.
May 16th, Tuesday night, so you may be, that's what we can schedule.
Okay. Did you say May 16th? Okay, thanks. Yeah, when I can make it, I make it. If it's a conflict, yeah.
Thank you, John.
It's odd, May 16th. Thank you.
Night, Craig. Take care.
Jackie. She's very nice. We last year.
All right, thank you, Derek.
Okay, Derek.
So we
go.
go to do the procurement.
Yeah, I'll work with Cindy on that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the procurement will be a simple matter. It's just going to be a matter of if we do financing, how that will work in terms of the budget.
Schedule.
Put it in their budget.
Put it in their budget. Okay.
Yeah, well,
good.
we built more time into so that it doesn't, so it isn't 5:10, it's 7:55, 7:58, and, all of a sudden you can't fill the time. We built more time into the schedule.
Well, and also I want to tell you the budget discussion. I think I may have asked Reggie to put that on there. I wondered if department heads would come in during the department head meeting and we would have items in the budget to discuss, but it seems like that's not the case, and in fact, the finance committee has just informed me they're done for the night, so
We have
they don't have.
deal, and we have a deal.
So can we
So-
move to present that omnibus budget as we last have?
It's out of bounds by $732, and I will just increase a revenue by 800, and it'll be fine.
Say that on tape, it sounds phony.
Well, no, I mean, one that I'm confident that we will be able to capture.
Either that or take $1 off of each line until
But I
it's
will-
gone.
Do you need a motion to approve?
Well, later, it's the last.
Yeah, it's on the, I'd like to go through the warrant and yes, do all that, so.
Okay, so we'll pass over then budget discussion as being discussed. Everybody's okay with that? Minutes, there were none. We've done payroll warrant, bill warrant, PCFs, town administrators report. Diana?
No, I have nothing at this time.
Okay, upcoming
Can I
events.
ask one question? When are they going to do that floor tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yes.
So they're not going to do out here again, right?
I'm not sure about that. It's gotten quite a bit marked up since they've been here. I know they were planning to do that,
So
so,
that means you've got to close off that wing again.
yes, that's why we didn't do it today. We're gonna do it tomorrow instead, so. But it should be okay. We only have to close, the planning board, I think, is meeting tomorrow night, but they can meet upstairs. So I'll talk to John about it, but.
I think that's my only question.
Okay, thank you. All right, now, then, upcoming events and meetings, we have our, obviously, May 31st meeting here, but in between is May 17th, the annual town meeting. There was talk about starting at 6:30. Do you remember that, for a presentation by the
Yes,
Greenway?
we are still planning that. I need to get some publicity out in the next couple days, but we are planning to have a 6 PM public information session on, which basically will reveal the Greenway feasibility study, I
6
guess,
p.m.,
or
not 6
discuss it.
p.m.?
6 or
6, it's going to start at 6 PM.
6 p.m.
At Norris, yes, because we usually only go till 6:30 or 6:45, because then everybody has to exit the room, so then people can come back in to register to vote.
But that won't be a meeting as such, and a select board meeting, it will be...
No,
solely for the purpose of-
Yeah, just a public
I may
information
not be able to
session.
be there that early that night.
And you guys already saw the presentation. It will be similar to the presentation you had last week.
Okay, so 7 o'clock is our meeting.
Yes, 7 o'clock is your meeting time. I do want to mention, we don't have it in here, but we do have to do our end-of-the-year transfers. We have 12 accounts right now that are overdrawn. David Kilson, we've been very busy this week with the audit, so him and I didn't get a chance to go through them. The issue we have now, and I have to find out, I may have to contact legal counsel, but we only have 3 people remaining on the finance committee now, and 1 person is not going to be here, at least next week. But I expect we might run into this problem until we get some more people appointed. But we really need to do those end-of-the-year transfers. So normally, the way the law reads is that the selectmen do them with the concurrence of the finance committee. So I guess I need to find out without a quorum, and again, not just for this particular meeting, but how does the finance committee, I would presume, cannot act without a quorum, but if they only have 3 people in total on the board right now, they could have some problems over the next month or 2 with that issue. So,
What's the quorum then?
well, it's still, if you have a 5-member board, your quorum is still 3.
So it isn't 5.
It doesn't change with your, right.
The way to fix that is the way we've done it many times in the past.
We appoint somebody from the select board.
That's right.
So the finance committee to give them at least 4 members so that they can go forward.
Right, that's true, that's a very good point. So you might want to consider doing that, and I expect after the end of the year transfers and then town meeting, we won't have a lot of things after
But
that.
I would think that's typically done with a joint meeting with them to elect somebody, so you got to get the 3 of them here on a quorum.
Well, you don't have to have a quorum to do that, you just have, yeah, I'll double check that, but I just read it before I came in, it just says the remaining members, it doesn't say anything
Then
about a
whatever-
quorum.
Yeah, but if the remaining
Because
members...
you could presume, what if it was a 3-member board and they only had 2 people left?
They'd still have
It's
a
the
quorum.
remaining members.
They'd still have a quorum.
Well, that's true.
The 3 people of the 5-member board is a quorum.
Is a quorum,
Right.
yeah.
Right, no, I understand what you're saying, but I know when I read it, it specifically said just the remaining members.
But
So-
yeah, because
Unless there's anybody, I mean, the other option is there anybody that you can think of in terms of appointing to
when I checked with
finance?
Eileen today, I think 5 or more people received 1 vote each on those things. So no, she couldn't elect anybody because they were all tied. It might have even been more than 5. 5 people had write-ins, but only 1 vote each.
I see.
So those may be potential volunteers or appointees.
Well, there's certainly candidates that somebody nominated.
Either their best friend or their worst enemy.
Hard to say in town politics. Okay, that's a good point though, Michael.
So I guess, I'm going to plan on doing them next, I'm going to have them ready for next week. I just told Derek I'll talk to him and the remaining members, and then I'll find out a strategy.
We do run into one problem with that, now that I start talking about that, because obviously I have a familiar relationship with one member of the Finance Committee. So what does that do to our vote?
Yeah, I don't know if that has any impact, because you're
I don't
only
either.
voting on, transfers that are,
I'm just saying, first instance, to vote to put someone on it, I think it would be okay. There's no conflict there. So she and I could vote to put someone on.
right.
We are meeting on the 10th then? Next Tuesday, right?
Well, we did have a meeting scheduled. We were going to meet every week until town meeting. So we do have one posted, and my thought was it would be a joint meeting with the Finance Committee, not really thinking this far that it was going to be an issue getting a quorum for them. So,
So even though this says May 31st, we're really actually meeting May 10th also?
yes. Unless we can't get a quorum and we can't do the end-of-the-year transfers. That was the only item that I had, unless there's other things on the agenda.
That could be end-of-year transfers.
Right, if we can't do it in your worst case scenario, we cannot, for quorum reasons or other reasons, technical reasons, cannot do end of year transfers.
You would have to take it to town meeting. Because you can always vote at town meeting to transfer money between accounts. It's a new thing that happened, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, that you could start doing them end of the year just without going to town meeting. But you used to have to just go to town meeting for them.
That's
so.
right, too.
Okay.
It's really since maybe the first couple of years I was on the select board, we couldn't do it, then we started being able to do it at the
Right.
end.
So that would be what we would have to do then, I would suspect, is have a special town meeting probably in the early part of June and take care of all of those.
So could we do them at the annual town meeting? Because
Well, I am researching that
what is the
too.
cost of a special town meeting?
Right, I am researching that because we do have one FY11 article that we need to do, and that is transferring the community preservation money into the specific accounts, the historic, the open space, and the housing accounts. We didn't do that in December on the special, and we have to do it in FY11. So I wrote to town council today to ask them if we could do an FY11 warrant and an FY12 warrant at town meeting. I've seen communities do it, I just don't know that it's totally legal. But I know Chesterfield, in fact, does one warrant, and they have, like, Article 1 and 2 is FY11, and then it will say everything forward is FY12, and then 3, 4, and whatever will be FY12. So I asked her, is the best route to do 2 warrants, 1 warrant, and can we do them both at the annual? So I think we can. I think we can vote FY11 and FY12. So if we're going to do FY11, then we could do that.
So why don't we plan to do that, if we can, but still try and do the transfers with the Finance Committee. If for some reason we can't get it done, then we'll just pass over, or if we can get it done, then we go to town meeting and just pass that whole rigmarole over.
Okay. Well, and
Better
hopefully
get it
I'll
put on
know.
the town meeting warrant so
Right.
that it's there and can be done,
That's true,
if it
right.
needs to be.
It's only 7 days that we need to have it on as well.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, I was thinking we had 2 weeks, but we really just only have 1 week to get this wrapped up, because you have to sign it, it has to be posted by next Tuesday, so you can't, it's before your meeting, then at next
We need
meeting.
to add the FY11 article and the end of year transfers with the potential of passing over end of year transfers.
Get
Right,
it done ahead of time.
that's right.
We would need to
So,
sign this next week then.
right, well, I gave you a signature sheet for tonight's warrant, because that's ready. And I think if we're going to put the end of the year transfers on, I could just do a separate warrant and then have it ready for you before the time you have to sign
We
it.
sign these signature sheets anyway and just...
Well, for this warrant is done, I think, for all intents and purposes.
Oh, do a separate warrant, okay, sure.
Yeah, and then I think what I would probably do then is just do a separate warrant.
But when does it have to be signed by?
It has to be signed before next Tuesday.
Before next Tuesday, which means...
Not at our meeting?
Yeah, no. because it's too late. It has to be posted next Tuesday.
So then can we move next Tuesday's meeting to a Monday meeting? And then do the warrant and do the meeting Monday, skip Tuesday.
Yep. I think that's a really, really good idea, because also the town offices aren't open next week, so that we're not going to interfere with that or change that around anyway. And that way, we can settle all this warrant stuff, and I'll feel more comfortable that you guys are in the loop about how everything's going to work.
So you gotta change the posting.
So change the posting to 5/9.
So I'd like to talk about meeting times.
Whatever you want, I can't make it, so whatever you do.
Monday you can't?
Oh, I can make Monday, but she wants to make it, she wants to move it to
Make it
6:30.
permanent. Right. Well, I could at least do it for this Monday, right?
You will?
Move to meet
Start
at
at
6:30 this Monday,
Yeah, I can't be back in time.
even on...
I got a trial on Monday, so if the jury's out, I don't get to leave.
And the other thing is I'll be on a flight coming back from California next Monday night while you all are here. I'll be sitting in the airport till 11 there, which is like 2
So in
hours.
general, 6:30 isn't a good time to meet?
I don't know.
No, they try and do personnel policy at 6:30, and frequently I can't make those 6:30s. It's a stretch for me.
We can try it and see, we could,
You can go ahead without me if you,
But you can make some of them. Depends on the trial, right?
it's hard to say. You know,
You could be a little late.
what's your opinion or feeling about that?
whether I can make it?
No, about going ahead without you on certain...
Oh, I mean, certain nights, you guys have the right to do that. I mean,
That's right, we certainly do, but I mean, it's a,
We'd hate to do it.
we'd hate to...
it's hard to get here for 6:30.
What about 6:45? Anything. I mean,
It's not as hard.
What is hard is being home at 10 and 10:30.
Well, we're not going to be home tonight at 10.
No, but
We've been doing very well lately.
Yeah, we
Yes,
have.
we've been doing well lately. Well, could you compromise at 1/4 of?
I can try. You'd make it 6:30, I'll try and be here, but my life is not necessarily dominated by myself.
You'll try, and if it doesn't work, we can you can redo it. I'd like to make a motion for our select board meeting times to begin at 6:30.
You know, it would be Monday?
No.
That would be our normal meeting time on Tuesdays.
Tuesday, okay.
Okay, a motion's been made, do we have a second for that motion?
So be it.
Okay, any further discussion? Those in favor? Aye.
I'll abstain.
One abstention.
So the idea that if there's many times you can't make it, we'll just go back to we don't want to leave you out of this.
Okay, so that's on a trial basis? That's
Trial
what I'm gonna
basis,
read
yeah,
into
trial
your
basis.
Specific motion. Okay, so moving down through, then anything further on the town meeting? Start the 6 o'clock public information, action list, bottle bill?
Yes, all of those action items are in your, that folder in front of you, Jess, the pink one, correspondence.
So Diana, you're going to post the Monday meeting?
Yes, so Monday I'm going to post at 6:30, Monday the 9th.
Okay, so, Jackie, you're still new to this, but normally you would read this out. This is a resolution in support of updating the Massachusetts bottle bill. And this is incentive for users of certain beverage containers to recycle those containers. So it will be resolved by the members of our city or town's council, et cetera, commemorate the 28th anniversary of the implementation of the Massachusetts bottle bill. And be placed on record as being, the town will be placed on record as being in support of the Massachusetts beverage container deposit law and encourage its strengthening through expanding the list as recommended. And further be it resolved that Southampton goes on record as supporting programs that encourage residents and visitors to return or recycle all beverage containers, etc. And that we further instruct our state representatives and senators and governors to support and vote in favor of updating the Massachusetts container beverage law. So it's a resolution in support.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm in favor of the bottle bill, but who sent us this resolution?
MassPerg.
MassPerg, Public Interest Research Group. That's a good point, because it does look like they're looking for our...
I mean, I fully support the bottle bill and everything else, but I don't like someone else sending us a resolution to So, I don't know, I just wanted information as to where that came
Yeah,
from.
I appreciate that, you're absolutely right.
Is there, so Jess, is there going to be an expansion of the VADA bill then? Is there an actual bill that they want us to support an expansion? Right.
Juice and water bottles,
Right.
and I think they're trying to up it to 10 cents or something.
Right, I'm sorry, I should have read that, I didn't want to read the whole thing. Do you know about it?
Oh, that's a great idea, 10 cents.
Okay, so the governor, the members of the Massachusetts Senate and House have recognized that the original bottle bill does not take into account those beverages such as bottled water, sports drinks, and teas. So I'm sorry, I should have read this. The addition of bottled water, sports drinks, and teas to the bottle bill would decrease the total volume of municipal solid waste that is needed to be collected, thus saving disposal fees and landfill space.
I make the motion to approve this. Sounds very, very good.
And this is a public interest group, so.
Right, I appreciate Michael's position on it too. So we're
That's per.
like California where you pay to get a bill signed.
Well, yeah, I want to know who's sending us a resolution.
Okay.
I didn't see the Mass Perg letter on the other side.
Sorry, I should have mentioned that. Okay, any further discussion on this resolution then?
Second?
Second.
Those in favor of supporting?
Aye.
Okay, I will sign it. Okay, and then the next item is... You want to go through that? Or Diana, can you summarize that, the Hilltown Community Development?
Sure. This is your agreement for your housing study. That's part of your DHCD community housing rehab money. So last week, or I think 2 weeks ago, you had Kelvin Molina from PVPC explaining that they had gone out to bid to get a consultant to do the housing study for the communities, and this is the agreement with them.
And we,
But it sounds like it.
Yes, so again, Southampton as the lead community in the grant has to sign all the contract documents. So this is a contract document. Plain.
oh, Michael Phelan, Chair.
Michael, we'll have you sign this thing.
You're still Chair on the.
Well, we just cross out the me and put Jess.
Okay.
Because he's the elected, he's now the
Okay, so we had the presentation, and this is the furtherance of that, which we've agreed to. So any further discussion on this agreement?
No.
Okay, those
Motion signed?
Second?
in favor?
Aye.
Okay, well, I'm doing that. Anna, you want to go over PVPC?
And then there's 2 invoices in there. One is for the, I think they're both related to the housing rehab. One is invoice number 3 and one is invoice number 4, I believe.
Okay, let's see, I can figure this out. So this is invoice number 4 for services rendered to Administrator FY10 Southampton Community Development Fund Program.
Right, so this is, again, it's the housing rehab.
Highlights and accomplishments for the period of March 1st, 2011 through March 31st, 2011. Total amount due, housing rehabilitation, housing planning, $3,483.65. Do I have a motion to?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
We only have 3 places for signatures.
Okay, you can just sign and
You can sign underneath.
enter line.
Ooh, this is a pencil. I should be signing in pen.
Okay, and then we have, then the last item is the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency.
Oh, I've got another PVC here.
Oh, sorry, invoice.
I wasn't here today, when you signed this.
Technically, no,
No,
we didn't act on it.
Here's invoice number 1. This is Southampton Community Development Program, Housing Needs Assessment. They did data collection, identification of issues, plan preparation. And total amount for the current invoice is $1,000 $37.68. Do I have a motion to approve or accept?
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so the other item we have here actually is a copy of the mutual aid instructions. And so we all actually have this in email format, but Mike, there's a good question earlier. This was sent to elected municipal officials from Kurt Schwartz, who's Undersecretary of Law Enforcement and Fire Services, Acting Director of Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, or MEMA. So this is the opt-in that Ed Cawley was talking about on the mutual aid agreements.
So we'll leave those originals in there, and then when we have the meeting, if you vote to opt in.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, that brings us then to the next item on the annual reappointments. We did ambulance bid rejection.
Yes. We put the surplus ambulance out to bid, and we only received one bid, and we actually had a minimum of $41,000, and it was lower. So I actually called the IG's office with another question, but I asked them about it, and I had already put it on the agenda for you to reject it, but you technically don't have to because it didn't meet, it wasn't a responsive bid. So we're going to put it back out with a new minimum.
Non-responsive
Put it
bid.
on that service that we used the last time?
No, we didn't, because they didn't have all they had was equipment at the time and no actual vehicles. So we just did it locally, but I'll look again. I don't think Muni Bid is really good for vehicles themselves. They have a lot of, like if you go on there and look, they have a lot of surplus, but everything is much, much less expensive than what we were looking to get. And they're all sold, they can be anywhere in the country, so the people have to come and pick them up. But I think we will, I'll try it again. We're going to put it out again.
Okay.
See. But we were happy with the amount, but I think the minimum.
Did it cost us the last time to put it on there?
No, it's free. That's free.
Why wouldn't we put it on there?
Yeah. Well, the only reason is, and I had called the IG's office about it, the timing of it makes it more difficult because that's an open bidding process, and then we were also wanting to do sort of a sealed bidding process. So if you do an open bid, everybody knows what your auction amount is instantaneously. And it wasn't meshing with what we were trying to do. So he said at that point, you probably should just do one or the other. But, because if you're trying to do the way, the advertisement and dispose of it in a sealed bid, people can actually go online and see what everyone else is bidding. So it's not fair. So, it's confusing. Oh.
Okay, all righty, which brings us into the last item, which is to review this warrant, because as Diana said, she's going to create another warrant with 2 articles on it, for signature next Monday. But in the meantime, we do have the other articles on the warrant as such, for which we do have signature pages. And the idea here is to review these and see if we're in agreement.
Can we take this home and come back next week? I remember the last time we tried to go through this quickly, and we made a mistake.
Yeah, you could do that, because since you're going to meet before, it leaves the police department with only 1 day to post it, and sometimes they would prefer to have more time, but you could do
We
that.
can take a hit on that for you.
I mean, everything I gave you last week is on there. This version, Town Council has reviewed and made some minor changes. We incorporated the Wetlands Protection Bylaw actually within the warrant, which they recommended. And I just had, as Barb was pointing out, some of the references that departments had given or citations for Mass General Law were incorrect, so I wanted to go back and I verified all the citations, so they're all correct, and we'll have copies of all of these Mass General Laws at town meeting in case anyone has any questions.
So there's 18?
There's 19. There's actually one floater after the bylaw, And we could move that, it just was I usually, in my experience, have always put petitioned articles on the end. But as I said last week, if you have some input on the order of the articles, if you wanted to have them reordered, it's up to you.
So what's all this in between? Does this all have to be
The
read?
Conservation Commission, they came before us a few months ago and
Yeah.
presented this. That's their draft.
So are we going to be reading?
No, you wouldn't have to read it. You're going to read the motion, the first part, and then you're going to put, you can put as printed.
Don't we think we should put the warrant 19 then up after 18?
Before 18, after 17? Because it's already after 18. So
19, I mean, put 19
Yeah, but-
right here.
No, because this
Oh, okay.
starts that next
I got you.
process. So
Yeah.
we could put it here, it would then become 18.
Yeah, put it, change the numbering, so you finish the warrant.
It's up to you if you want to make it.
Well, they got 19, but they got it in Roman numerals. Am I reading that wrong? No, it is wrong. That's just wrong. It's
19 is at
29.
the very end.
No, the only oddity about it now is that you have this whole bylaw, text in between before your last article.
Right.
So you could put Article 19 before this and make this the last article.
Yeah.
Michael's right, that does say 29 in Roman numerals, is that correct?
Oh, that's the bylaw number in our general bylaws.
Okay.
That's just what the bylaw will be.
Well, we better
numbered.
label that 29 because someone's going to think we've skipped over 20 articles.
Right, and you're saying we're not going to be reading all this
That's correct.
interim
No.
content? Oh, good. Yeah, it seems to me,
You ought to just label that 29 as town bylaw number 29 or something.
And
Do we use Roman numerals in the town bylaws to identify it?
Yeah.
we live in an age now where people can't read this kind of watch, too, much less Roman numerals.
So what are you
It took me a couple minutes to figure out what that was 29. I had to do the
so I'd
check.
like to move to put Article 19 after 17 and then change the numbering. So it'd be Article 17 as is, and then
Okay,
Article 19 would become 18,
okay,
and then Article 18 would become 19.
okay. And that will be your final article.
So we have a motion to change the order of the articles such that what is currently Article 19 becomes Article 18, what is currently Article 18 becomes Article 19. Do we have a second? Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
I'm going to stay around for that Article 19 anyway when they see how long it is.
Yeah. Okay, that said, is there
And-
any further business?
In terms of the warrant, the only other question I had is, are you going to move Article 18? I'm just in terms of the motions, when I draft the motions.
It's a home rule or a
Yeah.
petition.
You certainly can, sometimes I didn't know, because if it was petitioned, if
Do
you
we
were...
have to on a petitioned article? We don't.
They would have to move
We would
it.
have to move it, right? That's what
But I
mean.
mean,
Anybody could move
Anybody
it.
could
You
move
could
it.
move it.
Yeah.
You're not restricted from moving it. It's just, I just didn't know I just wanted to remind you that you
Right.
had
they're
an
just
option.
forming a charter commission,
Yeah, presumably whoever formed it would want to come forward as part of the, with
Well, the commission itself would have to be elected at a town
Yeah, but-
vote, at an annual town meeting, at an annual town
And
election.
the question becomes, do we have a problem putting that in the Article 19 Charter Commission in front of the town meeting? We as a select board.
We don't have a choice, it's petitioned.
No, it's there, but they'd have to step forward to move it. We'd call, moderator call for Article 19, we'd keep our mouth shut, and unless someone came out of the audience to
Right.
move it, it would die.
Right.
My question is, does the select board have a problem putting a charter commission in front of the town meeting, so that we just go in order and move it, and let it happen, whether it, and then the next thing is, we should probably take a motion whether we support the article or not.
That's where you're going with this, and I certainly agree with that. Personally, I do agree with the idea of the charter. I think it gives us some added flexibility from a municipal perspective.
Well, it's a review of the charter. They could propose anything from wiping out the select board and electing a mayor to, I don't know, going to a town manager form of government. They could, that's what they're looking, they're reviewing the whole charter structure. So I personally don't have a problem. So I would move that we put the article before the town meeting
And let
and
whoever-
not express an opinion whether we support it or not.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
Motion or what?
Is that-
Sure.
Second.
Further discussion? Okay, those in favor? Aye.
Great, thank you very much.
That's a good point. Okay, so then, do we want to sign? No, because you're gonna.
No, let's wait, and I will give you, so Monday I will give you whatever format we decide on, the warrant, and I will have the motions too, just so you can have them to review in case you have any questions.
We're posting the meetings for 6:30.
6:30.
And her first
I've
motion
been
of the
trying to do
year.
this for 4 years.
Okay,
Unless Mike ends up knocking other people out, then I'll miss him and I'll resend it.
okay, if there's,
Through chair, please. Address Diana.
please.
What do we got going on in the town hall for repairs and so on and so forth?
We have, as you know, the floor has been our main objective, getting that done, and we will be having it done a third time, unfortunately, tomorrow. The roof, they have been here, Newton has been here this week, last week. They had the shingle person here from GAF. They've had Newton Roofing. They've already sealed up all of the crevices in the gutters that were of concern. So this was, I don't know if this was on, what list was on, this was on, but it had come about at some point recently when we had rain. So they've done that, and they have done basically a forensic investigation of the roof leak to try to determine. So on May 12th at the BRC meeting, I assume there'll be a report that will help to identify what the issue is. If it's now they're thinking, or I mean, again, I don't want to put too much rumors out, but they're thinking that it's not the roof, that it has to do with some vents and maybe the windows and things like that. So that stuff may be repaired as well. They've been, I mean, they have, every time Newton's come, they've done more patching, they've done more sealing, and they've done more discovery, so.
Okay, let's see. I had originally asked the Board of Selectmen to go to the Building Reuse Committee because we should have a report in regard to this. What is the wishes of the Select Board Committee? Do we wish to go, just to witness what is going on? I mean, it's their call, we just oversee it, but...
I can't be there that night anyway.
Right. What are the wishes of this,
May 12th, is that a Thursday?
It's a Thursday.
the 12th, yes.
What time?
7 at the, yeah, right here.
So is your concern that we actually post it as a co-meeting?
Yeah, that would be a
Yeah,
question.
I want more than one person to go to the meeting to witness what's going on there. I think it's important, because this is paramount. We're at the end of doing this job, and we've got problems. They're getting ratified, however, I want to make sure they get done.
I should be able to be there on the 12th myself, but we may want to post it then?
Well, that's a good question. That's, I think, what Doug's asking. Do you want me to post a meeting and ask specifically to get on their agenda, which is what I did previously, or just go to the meeting and sit in?
We go as guests, we can't discuss.
You can discuss, you can't take action.
You were on that board, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. That's true, yeah. Technically, we can't.
Yeah, last time we posted, and you in fact did have some discussion and that led to action,
Right, so I'd
so.
be concerned about making sure we adhere to the letter, because it's easy to post it.
Yeah. And
But just
It's not.
go.
okay. Why don't we, what is the wishes of the Select Board? But to me, I think it's important that as many people as can go. Because we just want to hear everything, what's going on and so on and so forth. I have grave concerns. The seniors are not in there yet, and they must get pretty discouraged. And we're going to have all home days before they're allowed to get in there. No, really, I'm very concerned. All home days is right around the corner.
So I'll try to go.
Is it basically a walkthrough, checking what they've done? I mean, what
Pardon me?
Is it basically a walk? I mean,
We should have the formal reports from these investigating committees on the roofing and several other things. And I just thought it was important that we all hear about this. I'm not trying to turn my back to you.
No, I can hear you. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, the architect, and it would be an opportunity for the board to have some sit-down time with the architect and the project manager and the committee, and also hear, so they're doing a forensic investigation on the roof, hear what the results of that are, and then the remaining items on outstanding punch lists that they would go over. And I think most of those are going to be done, but you'd be able to see what is still undone at that point.
We just come as guests, we don't participate, we just.
We take action.
I think it's better if we're posted.
Yeah, you're always better to post it.
Always better to post. See, well, one of my concerns is, let's say we're not comfortable with signing a warrant to pay the last requisition. Okay, well, we should go there and get educated as to what's going on with first-hand information. That way we can make an intelligent decision, not something that's second or third hand. That's my concern, period.
Okay. So your specific motion then would be to post a joint meeting with the BRC on Thursday, May 12th?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Any further business before the board?
Nine.
Hearing none, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, third, boom.
All right.